Hello, this is Crochet Basics with K.Jolie, and in this episode we are going to work a hat pattern to match the scarf that you made in a previous episode. So if you made the scarf, I hope you did. Anyway, for this you're going to need your yarn, your hook, okay, and either a yarn needle or a tapestry needle. They both work perfectly well with yarn. A tape measure, and some kind of a stitch marker. Okay, so we have this, which is a stitch marker. It's a yarn marker, and if not, if you don't have a fancy one, whatever, a safety pin, and just so it doesn't get lost in the stitches, maybe you want to put a little contrasting yarn or ribbon knotted onto it. That's just a little, a little tip there just to get you going. So in this one, we're going to work in the round, and we're going to make a hat to match the scarf, as I said, but it's going to look a little different than the scarf, because instead of working back and forth as the scarf is worked, we're going to work in the round, and so the right side of the crochet will be facing you, which is the side that the stitches are made from. So I use a yarn over, and this works with the yarn over the wrapping method as well as the slip knot method. Okay, so let's chain 3, 1, 2, 3, okay, and then you're going to slip into the first loop, third chain away from your hook, okay, and you're just going to slip, and now we're going to work 2 chains, and we're going to work right into the center of this loop, okay, and we're going to do 12 double crochets. Now with this method, if you hold your tail against your chains, it saves on weaving in later on. So that's like a little trick there, so that you don't have to worry about your tail later on, weaving it in or what have you, sewing it so that it's inconspicuous. So we got 2 chains made. Let's 2 double crochets made. Let's go. Okay, now we'll pull our tail tight here, and later on, if you want, you can just make a little tiny knot right here where your tail is, on your tail, and it'll hold your loops tight. It'll hold that center tight. Okay, so here we're going to do a slip stitch into the first double crochet that we made, okay, and then we're going to chain 2. And in that same space, we're going to do another double crochet. So this is an increase row, and we're going to do 2 double crochets into each stitch. So hopefully we end up with 24. If not, it's okay. This is pretty forgiving. Okay, so now we got our 24 stitches. Okay, and here we're going to use a stitch marker for the last double crochet that we made. Okay. So before I close up my loop here, let me add in a stitch marker for the last double crochet that we made, because we're just going to work in the round. We're not going to do any more slip stitching until the end. Okay, so here's my stitch marker, and that's the last double crochet that I made. And in this first double crochet, we're going to do a single crochet. So we're not going to chain anything. We're just going to do our single crochet. So let's do 2 single crochets in that one, and this is another increase row, and we'll do 1 in the next, and then 2 in the next, and we'll repeat it all the way around. Okay, now that we've hit where we started from, okay, so now in this one we'll do 2, 1, 2 single crochet, and we'll do 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches and repeat. So here's 1, 2, then 3, 4, and you'll repeat that all the way around. Okay, so now we've done that. We've done 2 rows of single crochet. So now we're going to go to a half double crochet to match our pattern. So in this one we're going to add every 3rd stitch, we'll add 2. Okay, so we're going to yarn over, push through, pull up a loop, pull through 2, okay, and then let's do it again. So right there you already have your first 2, and then here's 1, 2, 3, okay. So that's 5 stitches already made in the half double crochet, and then you'll just repeat it. So you'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you'll see it'll start to make a point where you're increasing, but don't worry about that, because that'll go away once you start working in the round where you're just making the length come and not the width. Okay, now you can always go back and look and make sure, you know, counting wise, that you're doing enough stitches in between. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this is where we started. Ready to go with the 2 half double crochets. Okay, so you're just going to keep working with the increases, and you're going to increase. Now you'll do 4 half double crochets and then increase on the 5th and 6th stitch. Okay, so now we're at 68, between 68 and 70 stitches or so, and you're going to want to follow where your marker is, okay, to make sure that you're working correctly. You're getting as many stitches in the row as you're supposed to have. Okay, so here we're going to switch over to double crochet, and now it looks a little wonky, okay, but don't worry about it. Hats are pretty forgiving, and especially in acrylic yarn or fluffy yarn, any kind of like fluffy full yarn, they're pretty forgiving once you stop increasing and just start working down. Okay, so let's work our double crochets, and we're going to, let's see, we'll do two more half double crochets from our stitch marker. Okay, and then there's no chaining. We're just going to do our double crochets, and I promise it'll even out in the end once you start working in the round. And if not, there's a trick, or you know, I have a trick or a tip if it doesn't even out. If it looks a little odd to you, just watch this video till the end, and I'll show you how to fix that up or what have you. Okay, so let's work some double crochets. So yarn over, pull through a loop here. We got 3, pull through 2, and pull through back to 1. Okay, so you got 1, 2, and let's go. Okay, so here's our stitch marker. So this ending row is upon us, or whatever. So with this, okay, you're going to work another row of double crochet, and we're not increasing anymore. Okay, we're up to about 60 or more stitches, and you kind of don't want to go past 70 depending on your head size. Okay, so you would work another row of double crochet and follow your stitch marker up. If you need to add another stitch marker in just to you know, be able to double check your work, that's fine. So after you do another row of double crochet, you're just going to go back to the single crochet, and you'll do 2 rows of single, 2 rows of half double, and 2 rows of double. Okay, and actually this pattern here that we're working, like I said before, this is kind of like on the fly, even though it is a pattern. Okay, so you want to use your tape measure just in case you think it's getting too wide and it's not going to fit your head or whatever. But as you work your, it looks like a taco now, I know. But as you work, this will all fill in, okay, and it'll become the bowl, you know, a bowl or whatever. You know, the hats have a slow increase, okay, so that'll increase slowly. All right, so you'll just continue the pattern, and I'll have it in the description of this video and also on Facebook. So if once you get to the length you desire, now this actually is the same exact pattern, and it looks different from the scarf because the scarf is worked back and forth, and this is worked in the round. This is the right side facing you, which is the side you worked. And so if you ever read a pattern and you're like, I don't understand, this is the wrong side. This is the opposite side of your stitches, the back side, and this is the front side, the side that's facing you, of course. Okay, so now this is the same pattern, and you'll see I started out with 2 double crochets and I went to my single crochets. Here's my stitch marker. Okay, now at this, right, we're going to take and we'll measure so that you see. And with quite a few hats, you know, you want to have the tape measure handy just to make sure. Okay, so this hat is for my niece, who is a teenager, and she's pretty small in stature, so her head is smaller than a regular adult size or whatever. So this one I made a little smaller. And now when you get to here, what you can do is, if you want to make a rolled brim, which is what this is right here, or a flapper style hat, you can add in a few more stitches. Say you add in another 2 stitches, so you'll work 5 stitches, add in 2, another 5, add in 2, and you'll start to get the bowl, the rolling effect or whatever, so that you can have the roll brim, which could be worn, you know, pulled down or whatever and everything. So, and as always, you know, like, you want to embellish. So with this hat, some people crochet flowers and whatever. You want to personalize it, make it yours. I have this pin that is perfect for fall and the beginning of winter, and it's a pin. It's from Crafty Conjuring, and she's on YouTube. She's on Etsy's also, and she actually has a tutorial on how to make this, which is perfect. And it could be on a pin. If you don't want it on a pin, you know, you can always just sew it on and not even worry about it. But what I like about the pins is that, you know what? I made this hat. It fits me perfect. The color is beautiful. It complements my skin. So for fall or winter or what have you, let me embellish it and have a little pop of color on my head and say, hey, my hat is here. And, you know, hey, spring is coming around, but it's still, you know, cold enough to wear a hat. So here you go. You got another pin. You got a ladybug. How beautiful is that? And the pins that I have here are from Crafty Conjuring on Etsy's, on YouTube. She shows you how to make this, which is beautiful. She does great work. And you don't like either one of these, you can always crochet a flower. There's millions of tutorials on that. Or if, you know, someone, this is from a craft store. I think this is from Michael's or Joann's or something. And it's on a alligator clip. So, you know what? You just stick it through and boom. You got a pop of color, you know, and some pizzazz, some uniqueness that shows that, you know, this hat is me, this is me, I'm here and I am ready to go, or what have you. So if you have any questions, please ask. What I said before about the tips is, if you feel that it's uneven when you're working in the round and you think, you know, you notice it, not everybody's going to notice it or whatever, but if you feel it's uneven, instead of just cutting off or what have you, just pull up a few slip stitches and it'll even it out. Okay, so it'll make it more even if you feel like, oh, I have all these double crochets or I have double crochets. Okay, and when you're making a hat, if you've weaved in as you went around your circle, pull tight, make a little tiny knot here. Okay, little tiny knot there, and this you snip off your tail, and this hole will stay nice and tight, so you know you won't have that gaping loop there. Okay, and then also another thing with weaving in, you know, you can use your crochet hook to pull it through the stitches. The whole point of weaving in is to make it so that it's not going to come out, and make it so that, you know, it's inconspicuous. You know, your tail is inconspicuous. So best way to go is a yarn needle or a tapestry needle. You pull it through a couple of stitches one way, and then maybe a couple of stitches the other way. And if it's a thinner yarn like an acrylic or whatever, you just make a little knot and you're good to go. You know, you just make a little knot just like this and you snip off, you know, but before you don't pull it too tight or you can end up cinching your stitches. And so, you know, you just want to make your, you know, hold it steady with your thumb. That's actually why I have a little notch missing out of my thumb from making little knots at the center of hats. But either way, I'll see if maybe I'll do another tutorial. I'll do a tutorial on weaving in your ends or whatever, just to show you, you know, with fuller yarns or any kind of thing, and thinner yarns, just so that, you know, you get the hang of it. So don't get discouraged, you know. Every pattern or every, like, you know, hooking ain't easy, let me tell you. You know, once you get the hang of it, it's not bad. But, you know, you got to stick with it a little while, just like anything else, knitting, macrame, any kind of, you know, fishing, whatever you're going to do, you know, stick with it. And it's really fun. It's a lot of people, they really enjoy it. It's something, you know, keeps you off the streets. Everybody thinks you're super cool. You're making handmade gifts and what have you. This one's for my niece. So if you have any questions, please ask. Please post them. Please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. If you need a refresher on any of these stitches, please go back and look at my videos. Pause them. Ask questions. I'm here. If this is the length of the hat that you want, you know, measure it. Make sure it's the desired length you want. That's where, you know, our tape measure comes in super duper handy, so that we know. And usually the standard size of a head from top to the rim, which is like, you know, surrounding your face or whatever, is about 7.5 to 8 inches. So I hope this is helpful to you, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. I liked making it. So thank you again for watching. Please, please, please subscribe. Watch my other videos, because, you know, I really I like making them. I also like working with the iMovie. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, happy hooking as always, because it keeps you off the streets. And thanks again. Please subscribe. Take care. Have a great day. Happy hooking. Bye.